Hi, everyone. My name's Mark Bates, and you've reached the Rabbit Room Apologetics Podcast. Thanks for joining us. This episode is entitled, The Architecture of Covenantal Table Fellowship, Reconstructing Pauline Ethics and Identity with the Promised Plan of God. Let's get into it. Most of us have been taught that the Apostle Paul was a theological innovator who completely abandoned the burdensome law of Moses to create a brand new law-free religion for Gentiles. For centuries, Western traditions have read the book of Romans through this lens, leading to a supersessionist belief where the Gentile church completely replaces ethnic Israel and discards God's ancient promises. When reading Romans 14, people assume the weak were just immature Christians clinging to abolished Levitical dietary laws, while the strong were enlightened believers who knew all foods were finally clean. We are frequently told that Paul officially canceled the kosher food laws when he said that nothing is unclean in itself. But there is a massive historical glitch that completely shatters this anti-Jewish myth. When you strip away post-biblical Hellenistic philosophy and step back into the ancient Hebraic cognitive environment, you discover that Paul remained a fiercely faithful, Torah-observant Jew. His letters do not represent a rupture from the Hebraic scriptures, but rather the climatic continuation of God's unfolding promised plan. The real issue in Romans 14 was not the cancellation of the law, but a specific socio-religious crisis triggered by the Roman Emperor Claudius. So let us systematically break down this old belief by looking at what was actually happening in the Roman house churches when Claudius expelled the Jews from Rome around 49 CE. Gentile believers were left to lead the churches without Jewish oversight. Years later, when the Jewish believers returned, massive cultural tensions erupted over table fellowship. The weak were actually highly conscientious Jewish believers who adopted a vegetarian diet because they could not guarantee that the meat in the Roman marketplace was free from pagan defilement. And here we're going to look at Romans 14:14, that nothing is unclean in itself, but it is unclean for anyone who thinks it unclean, right? And that's where people say, okay, so everything's clean. But Paul's talking about food there. He's not saying that those things that were not fit for consumption under the law of God and the law of Christ are fit for consumption now. He's simply saying anything that was clean before is still clean. When Paul says nothing is unclean in itself, he's not using the Greek word for biblically prohibited animals like pigs or shellfish. He uses the word koinos, meaning common or profane, clarifying a specific halakhic debate that biblically clean meat does not become defiled simply because a Gentile butcher handled it. But instead of commanding the Jewish believers to abandon their dietary boundaries, Paul fiercely defends their conscience. He warns the strong Gentile believers that if their freedom pressures the Jewish brother to eat against his conscience, it becomes a sin that could destroy the very work of God. And this is just a few verses down. But whoever has doubts is condemned if he eats, because the eating is not from faith. For whatever does not proceed from faith is sin. So, what is the new reality and the exact payoff beat for your faith today? Paul is radically reorienting your ethics away from your autonomous individual rights and toward the self-sacrificial love of Messiah. And that's 15:1. We who are strong have an obligation to bear with the failings of the weak and not to please ourselves. By voluntarily restricting your liberty for the sake of your brother, you actively participate in God's promised plan to reverse the ancient cosmic rebellions of Eden, the Watchers, and Babel. True covenantal table fellowship is a lived parable of the one new humanity, proving that Gentiles are grafted onto the nourishing root of Israel without ever erasing Jewish identity. You are called to embody a hospitality that honors distinct identities and prioritizes peace over personal preference, anticipating the day when the restored cosmic temple unites heaven and earth. All right, so if you want to continue stripping away modern philosophical myths and recovering the ancient supernatural architecture of the scriptures, make sure to hit the subscribe button to the Rabbit Room Apologetics channel. And as always, this video is a quick summary of my Substack article, The Architecture of Covenantal Table, which goes into more detail on the topics we've discussed. And you also, I provide full examples of where I got the information from, so you can double check my information sources. So do check that out. The link for this will be in the description. Also, I haven't posted it just yet, but I do produce a podcast, an audio version of this. You may be like me. I really like listening to articles on when I'm walking or if I'm driving. So this might be appropriate for you just to listen to the podcast instead of reading this. Of course, I don't provide all of the links for all the sources I cite, but you can find those in the article very quickly. Hope that helps. As always, remember, if you like this, please like the video. Please share it with a friend. Comment. Let me know what you thought. Let me know where you think I'm wrong. Let me know where you think I'm right. I like hearing from you. I answer every comment. Okay? And I just want you to just keep exploring and living in God's full grace and wonderfulness. And as always, remember, God is good all the time. Thank you.